Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Zooming in on the topic of how to handle a narcissist, abusive person in your relationship, in your world, in your office. I had an inquiry from a viewer who asked about what does it mean to be walking on eggshells, essentially, because they feel very uncomfortable for them and they weren't quite aware of that, so they wanted some more articulation of that. And so this video is in response to that. Walking on eggshells essentially means when you feel so on edge that you are going to be a disruptive force to this narcissist, this psychopath, or the borderline person in your life. When no matter what you do, say, it can never be good enough, it's always setting them off, they're exhibiting narcissistic rage, their body language is not in emotional congruence, so they could just be yelling at you across the house. They never pay attention in terms of eye contact. They never give you full frontal attention. They're, do disrespectful things, walking in front of you, really essential avoiding violation of your personal space, violation of your personal boundaries, emotional boundaries, really disruptive at your very core. So it creates what is called, walking on eggshells. In other words, you're essentially living so as not to constantly or set off this person. So rather than living at peace, living in a feeling of safety, living in a feeling of contentment, relaxation, being able to take life in, absorb your environment, deep breathe, rather than just being able to listen without feeling a sense of alarm, your skin crawling, feeling like you're cringing every time you see them because you're so on guard, you're so much in a state of fight or flight when they come around. You're concerned about what they're going to say, what they're going to do, how their criticism is going to come at you. It's essentially a surrendering of your life to them, in which they're essentially out of control. So that exactly is, when you feel that is called walking on eggshells. A lot of people who also live with alcoholics feel this way also, because you can get excuse me, alcoholics who also kind of go into this rage, violence, throwing things, yelling things, slamming doors. All this creates a very disruptive vibration in the body. So even though people who are enablers, people who, are living intolerant, of these behaviors and kind of are trying to accept it because they don't know how to get out of the situation, they're kind of shell-shocked. So they can tend to walk on eggshells and feel really, a feeling of post-traumatic stress disorder, where they're so afraid. Their adrenal system is just on basically unleashing out a lot of corticosteroids to help them with an adrenaline rush. It's like a feeling of fear, incessant fear, but their source of fear is like living in their house. So it's almost like they're with their captor. So this can create a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders, or what they call complex PTSD, where your abuser is there and you feel like you can never ever get away. So it creates a whole complexity of symptoms there. So that is, a lot of people then begin to feel like this is a normal way of life, which is called walking on eggshells. Rather than just being free to be yourself, be your authentic self, which is an ultimate requirement for you to be happy and fulfilled in life, period, end of story. The person is essentially constantly living in reaction to this person rather than action in their life. So it's a constant state of reactivity, where the locus of control is outside of them. So rather than being able to be self-directed and being in control of their emotions, their thoughts, behaviors, and their feelings, that locus of control, the source of control, is coming from outside of them. So they're not able to have a sense of control in their life. So the walking on eggshells is almost like as if you're afraid to you know, break these eggshells. So you have to like pander around very delicately or pander to them, which is in essence like living a lie, because you're living a lie to yourself, you know, in order to, you know, avoid expressing your emotions. So it's truly, you know, when a victim is silenced, you know, they're essentially silenced from communication and not able to express themselves. So they internalize it, they repress it, they submerge it, and, you know, adapt. It's basically an adaptation where they're, you know, now having to live this half-life or no life, essentially, out of response to this narcissistic abuse or rage. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos help. Please do share to those people in need, and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support.